I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder when I was still married, but actually the problem probably started a long time ago. When I was at school and at the age of 16, I went for a screening at a children's psychology center, a big one, a state-run one, to be tested. Then they tested me, and for some reason they sent me to a psychiatrist. Even though I was a perfectly healthy girl, a smarty pants, I was sent to a psychiatrist. To my surprise, he told me that you have a hidden depression, that you need to be hospitalized. But after he talked with my parents, they said, why should she go to hospital? And basically, well, I just kept on going and living. I couldn't really feel the joy of life. I have to be honest with myself about that. No matter how much I worked on my beauty, losing weight and getting compliments, getting married, having children, fulfilling myself in my profession and achieving a career, whatever it was that I was doing, I would never say that any moment of my life feels like happiness. Despite all the attributes that were present in my life, there was never a state of happiness. Then came the point of no return. I got to a point where I just didn't want to live anymore. Not just don't want to live, but just don't have the strength to live. And it doesn't relate at all to the fact that there are babies crying or something. It is not about any ordinary things. It is not because there's nothing to eat or any of that. It's not really about daily routine and ordinary life, but it is associated with a very personal inner state. Not knowing where it came from, just had no idea where it originated from, but it was so strong that the only thing on my mind was just to make this state go away. Nothing else feels worthwhile. Can't be happy with the kids who I really love or any relationship, anything. Just take that state away from me. That's all. And then once I was in the psychiatrist's office, they put me on medication, antidepressants, and they were prescribed on a specific spectrum. And there's certainly no concerns about the qualifications of the specialists. But nothing worked. And if the bipolar disorder was somehow managed to calm down and temporary to give me some effect so that I did not snap at my husband, then when the most severe condition came, the doctor said that it's not just bipolar disorder, it's another disease, disorder, another illness. He found this sickness in me, a dopamine deficiency, a congenital dopamine deficiency. It's very rare, he said. And so he told me he couldn't do anything about it. Because if he prescribed me those antidepressants that I was on before and they calmed me down, then I'm going to get worse. Because this deficiency, dopamine deficiency, it's a condition where in order to live normally and to be fine, to just have a normal existence and to be in an optimal state of being, if the average person needs, for example, conditionally X amount of emotions, adrenaline, impressions, socializing, then with dopamine deficiency, you need 100 times more pleasure, 100 times more adrenaline, 100 times more action. And he said that calming me down wouldn't make me better. It wouldn't get better, it would get worse because, this dopamine deficiency. And there's no effective medication for it in the world right now. He told me that, honestly. And he tells me that there's some American pharmaceutical preparation. I can't remember the name. Let's try it for a couple of days, but you should call me and inform me. I tried the drug, Well, I mean, he was trying to help me anyway, the doctor. I tried the drug, started having these hellacious headaches. I mean, I just almost went crazy. And after literally 2 days, I called my doctor and he said, "We're going to take it off immediately." And when I went to him, needing his help, I said, "You know how bad I feel?" He saw my hands shaking, my eye twitching. He understood how bad I was feeling. And he just said with a very deep empathy that, and I asked him, "What do I do? Help me, please. What do I do?" And he said in a very emotional way, he said, "You have to learn to live with it somehow." And I didn't like that answer because it was unbearable to live with it. In this state, the only thing that stopped me was really the children. These are not exactly suicidal thoughts in the way they are portrayed. I mean, I didn't want to run out there or jump off a bridge. No, I just felt unbearably bad. And I had to find a way out. And I remembered that 10 years ago, a friend of mine who we're still friends with, she's happy now. And I remembered that she called me to a training on system vector psychology. And when you're at your limit, you think, well, I'll give it a try. And I had come to a training course. In general, I'm very skeptical about all trainings, all these things. I mean, even though I was in a state of bad health, I didn't have blind faith in what was going on. And I like Yuri Ilyich's phrase that you should check. I think, oh, that's good, that's what I need, because I don't believe you anyway, but I'll try to check. And during the training, I validated every word that I said, every emotion that I felt. I examined it with people, I analyzed it. Because I'm such an excellent student, I needed to solve this problem and get to the core. Because if you're going to study a subject, you have to study it in a way that you can say, yes, it's a discipline, it's a science, it's not some kind of magical, just waved a wand and everything went away. So in the very process of the training, I realized really how far science has come in the study of the human psyche. I'm talking about it now, and it brings tears to my eyes, and it's amazing to me that science is moving forward and that it can help even with the kind of illnesses that I had. During the training, I was learning about myself, learning about how human nature works. And I was testing, and my condition became better, really was improving. One day I noticed that it had been more than 6 months since I'd been on the course, that I hadn't had, in all that time, a bad experience. Not one single time have I ever wanted to go and call the doctor and say, well, at least give me one of those antidepressants. Not once have I ever had the urge to quit living. I'll tell you more. At the end of the training, when the pieces of the world's understanding, like a jigsaw puzzle, is putting together, even people are reacting to your emotions because you're changing, you're really transforming yourself. And at the end of the training, I had some kind of collapse. I realized that I love life, that I want to live. And I'm really not acting. I'm not walking around in masks like I used to all these 32, 33 years. I want to live it to the fullest and enjoy it with my loved ones. One of the most important moments, perhaps, is that by going through the training, I realized who I am, what I need. I recognized myself. I discovered myself during the training, and I understood how it can be realized. And the way I realize myself nowadays is the highest pleasure that can only be in life. At the training, a person transforms themselves. And by changing themselves, they affect their surroundings, the closest and even the most distant environment, from parents to the shop assistants. People perceive you differently. They even peer at you somehow. Is that you? My daughter-in-law says to me, Katya, you talk differently. You're different. Sometimes I think, it seems like such a huge result in health terms. But actually the biggest result is my mom. Because for over 30 years I thought she didn't love me. And for over 30 years I actually hated her. However hard it was for me to admit it. I didn't understand her, I judged her. I perceived her as one person. And the training really revealed to me her nature, what her motivations were. And when I realized that, I just really sobbed one evening. How much I didn't understand my mummy and how hard it was for her all that time. And you can't imagine how different my mum has become towards me. For the first time in my life, she hugged me. And I saw that she started to smile and that she started to step forward, to open up. Relationships with loved ones seem to be such a regular result that a lot of people have. But we underestimate what a weight off the mind it is. Because really, our mom is our everything. Before system thinking, we had a very difficult relationship with my ex-husband. And for a long time, I actually had to provide for the children on my own. There was a war. There was actually a really serious, brutal war that my ex-husband and me were both suffering. And of course, the children were affected. At the training, I realized the nature of my husband, and I stopped treating him with a kind of animosity, and he started coming round. We surprisingly, in a short time, developed a very warm and friendly relationship. He became kinder, more understanding, and the kids are completely on his provision. I'm so grateful to system vector psychology and to my ex-husband for the fact that it turns out it's possible to live like this after a divorce. To live, remain close people, and life can go on. Yuri Burlan to me is a person somewhere, actually inside, even a friend, who gives his knowledge without sparing himself, really, gives it to us. And who for so many years, over 30 years, has been working on psychiatry. And has been able to bring to the people the knowledge that brings such incredible results. One day I got a message, "How are you doing?" from my doctor. I told him, "Thank you so much, I'm fine." I replied, and then gradually I thought, I actually haven't had any of these conditions. Just recently, I shared with my doctor that I've never had a case of those conditions. Never once had what you were actually saying, that it's incurable. Take a closer look that there is such a science. That's why I'd like to actually think that all psychiatrists, through our results, which are really staggering, will be able to help their patients too.